If you are thinking of what to do next in your business and you're stuck and you've been plateauing at the same space, I was asked to speak to a group of seven-figure entrepreneurs. One of the questions that I was asked was how to get unstuck in this situation. This is a multi-location owner who's trying to scale and license or franchise their business. And the answer that I gave him is probably not what you would expect and may be the reason that you are stuck or not advancing at the speed with which you would like. All right, and so if you don't know who I am, my name is Alex Mosey. I own acquisition.com. It's a portfolio of companies that does about $85 million a year. And so if you are new to Mosey Nation, welcome and enjoy the video. I'll see you on the other side. Joey, what are the different exit strategies you recommend? I think I covered that with Anu. I think for most people, if you were trying to exit the gym, I would be looking at customer or employee. And then right now, and this is purposely because right now SBA loans are just a joke to get and like zero interest. So I think that those would be, and you can put a percentage of seller financing in there to get a number that you feel comfortable with. And it also doesn't put too much cash drag on the business. That could be pretty attractive for both sides.
Yeah. So kind of to clarify on the question, I guess that I was wondering, like, so we've looked at, licensing or franchising, or we want to just grow as a company and then just, eventually sell it or what. And so we haven't come up with a clear strategy. We thought we wanted to do like a franchise route until I started to investigate and realized that it was going to be a huge headache. But I guess kind of what are your thoughts on, in the gym industry, what are the different avenues you can take to exit the company and, either keep it or sell it?
How many locations do you have right now?
Yeah.
3, working on a 4th.
Are they all different markets, like different states? Or are they concentrated in one market?
In Central California. So we haven't even entered into like a metropolitan area yet. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fresno, California. That's probably going to be our first city, quote unquote, that we go into. We're technically considered like towns, the facilities that we're in.
Do you want to stay in the fitness industry?
Yeah. I've been doing it for 14 years now and I can't really.
Real question. That was not loaded. That's the like kind of top level question. So if you want to stay in the fitness industry, how do I best package the skills that I have right now for making money?
I have a very important question.
Yeah.
How much money do the locations make?
This year, each location, we profited a little over 100,000
per?
No, that was total between the 3. But this year we spent quite a bit of money. We had a bunch of stuff we were going through without getting too into it. So we had probably roughly $50,000 of expenses that we won't next year.
Yeah. The first thing I'm thinking is if you've proven out the multiple locations and they're like as profitable as they can be before you scale further. That's what I would be thinking just from where I sit, just knowing the amount of people that I know who have multiple locations, grow to like, say double-digit multiple, and then they go licensing or franchise. The most important piece, and this is where everyone fails, is they're just not profitable enough.
Dude, they're not. The unit economics suck. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna do the Dave Dunham throw punch. Even if you do the add back for the 50K, that's the one-time expense. If you're doing 50,000 net per facility, no one's interested in that. It might be like the nasty medicine, but it'll actually solve the pain, right? Or solve the problem. So if you've got 3 locations, the fact that you said we're thinking about a 4th, I'm like, why on God's green earth are you thinking about a 4th location when we're profiting $30,000 per year per location? Like that, we're like, this shouldn't even be a discussion. And the fact that we went from 1 to 3 with what I would consider poor profit metrics, I wouldn't have advised that either, but we're in that boat and that's fine, right? Here we are. I would bet you dollars to donuts that if you got rid of 2 of them and then focus your attention on 1, you would make more money than you have from the 3, just straight up. And I think you need to fix the model. Like for the model, because like, do you know how many, like, and I'm gonna be mean with this, and it's not directed to you, but it's more directed to the industry. Do you know how many mom and pop bullshit licensing and franchises there are of 3 to 5 location owners? A fucking zillion of them. And you know how many franchises never get above 30 locations because once they open, they do the unit economics that we're talking about right now? Most of them. And that's why most of them don't grow or go anywhere. The guy who started it feels good because he tells his family and friends that he's a franchise. And then everyone's like, oh, wow. But they're broke and they don't know anything. And so why would you care about impressing them? And so if the goal is to make the most money, it feels like you're in a rush. That's what it feels like to me hearing what you just said. And so I would lean towards and like I said, this is going to be like the sour medicine. If you really want to do this, you got to do it right, and you got to fix the model. And the locations that you have to be corporate. They got to be the best fucking gyms out there for someone to even consider buying into this, either from a licensing perspective or from a franchising perspective. Like these guys should be running on 30% plus margins with, and if we're doing, you know, is it a large group, small group?
Right now we're just doing large group, so we haven't even introduced the small group in yet. We're working on, you know, our 90-day and all that stuff on the front end.
Yeah.
To make sure that
You're in a smaller market, which, believe it or not, means you should be running on higher margins, not lower margins. Because in the small markets, your costs are low, and there's also less competition. The disadvantage of small markets is that leads are great in the beginning and then they suck. That's kind of the trade-off. And so, and if anything, your word of mouth and your retention has to be more important in a small town than anything. If you, like, for example, if you said, we've got the small town model down, it's like, I wouldn't even go to Fresno. I'd be looking at what other small towns are there because we have that model down. You go to Fresno, you're competing against everyone. You know what I mean? And the guys that you're competing against, they're pulling out 250, 400 a year because their locations are rocking. So I think that it's a big look inwards of like, have I wanted to open more locations so that I could say I owned more locations? And is my goal status or is my goal money? It's important. You don't have to answer now, but like, it's an important question. If the goal is money, then I would look a hard look at the other two locations and think about, is there one of these that I can combine into one? I can take the EFT, throw it into the other one, maybe lose half of it, but I get all of it on the same fixed overhead, make more money at that second location. And then look at that, you know, when my lease ends at the other one. So I can focus my attention on making this gym as wildly profitable as humanly possible. And then until this gym is growing without me, with a team that's incentivized, now I have an asset on the balance sheet. If you have an asset on your personal net worth balance sheet, that can then be leveraged in a number of different ways. You could sell the thing, you could license the thing, you could do the franchise, because now you have an actual unit itself that generates profit with a high return on capital, which is what someone's going to look at from a franchise perspective, a licensing perspective, or from, if you crush it, you could own them all. The guy who lives above me in Vegas, I think I've told you guys, he owns Panda Express. He owns them all. He doesn't franchise shit. He did 3.8 billion last year. 26% margins, guy. 26%. He took 935 million home in income. That was his income. When we asked what was the secret to success, he said do the same thing for 45 years. You get really fucking good at making orange chicken. I'm being real with you. If it took you 5 years, but then you had the best damn gym model out there, and then 5 years after that, you had 30 locations, would that be because like life's long, man. And it feels like rush. That's what I feel right now. It feels like there's a rush.
In a way, I think it's just that we have a lot of people who were members in the past and moved to Fresno, and like we think it'd be an easy entry to the market. And so we do kind of feel like
no such thing as easy. We got 3 other gyms only making 30 grand a year. You're going to put your attention there and those just go flat. And then all of a sudden you now have 4 locations, you make no profit. And then you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
When you had one facility, just one, way back, how much were you making in profit a month?
like 40 grand.
So you make less money now and you got more locations.
Yeah, but we had kind of at the time we were able to, there was 3 owners and all 3 of us worked there, and we had the small group and we had the personal training. And in a way we had created the system that you guys have now, but unintentionally, and we just didn't even really realize it. And now that we see it, we're like, oh shit, that's why we made so much more money. So we're getting back to, you know, our roots and trying to figure out how to implement it on a larger scale now. And so that way, you know, once we do make it really profitable again, then we have everything ready to roll for the next one. So
I would say one just final piece on this is just make it super profitable because of the pride you have in doing a good job. Not so that you can do X, Y, and Z, because then it makes X, Y, and Z the goal rather than the work. If you make your intention to build the best fucking gym out there, not so that you can, but just because it is what you take pride in, you'll have what you want. But it takes a big shift. Like I could just, you know, and if you had asked me the franchise question originally, like I could just say like, yeah, man, like it's fine. You got 3 out of 4th location, and then, talk to this guy and he'll set you up with franchising, but like you wouldn't be successful. Not with the perspective that you have right now, not with the unit economics. And I know this is probably not, as fun on a group call, but I'm just being real with you. Like, if you really want to do this and you really want to do this, fix the gym.
Oh yeah.
Hardcore.
My feelings don't get hurt, man. I appreciate it.
I said it with love. It's absolute desire for you to fucking crush it. Action steps. Take a hard look at the other 2 locations. I would consider consolidating one if you can. Look at when the other leases are up, and then go back to making $40,000 a month. And then slowly, it might take a year. It might take 2 years for you to get to that, to keep $40,000 a month without you being there at all. Once you do that, then you can have the discussion of whatever else you want to do. And if that sounds like, man, that's going to take time, first point I said, you're in a rush.
Appreciate it.
Mutual, man. Thanks for speaking up.